Hello, I'm Debs K. Thanks so much for joining me today. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a little quick tip on how to sharpen your pastel pencils. I work in soft pastels, and pan pastels, and soft pastels and pastel pencils, and I usually tend to use a combination of all of them in all of my paintings. Sometimes I only use the pastel pencil just for my final signature, and usually for my initial sketch. But sometimes I do a whole painting. Or the finer details in pastel pencils. So they really are an essential part of my sort of like pastel painting toolkit, so to speak. And one of the questions and things I'm often getting asked is, how on earth do you sharpen these? You know, a normal sharpener just doesn't seem to cut it. I've played around over the years and sort of tried a few different sharpeners on the market and things. And to be honest, I just find the easiest and simplest ways with a good old-fashioned Stanley knife or craft knife or X-Acto knife, whichever you'd like to call it, is really the best and the cheapest way to sharpen your pastels. It takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it, and you can get a really nice sharp edge. Now, what I'll do is I'll talk you through the next pastel as I go through it, but I'll just sort of like say, as you're watching me there, what I do is create a nice long length of the pastel itself, because I like to be able to use the pastel in the pastel pencils in different ways. Sometimes I want it for just a fine detail, perhaps a whisker or something like that, or my signature. And in other ways, I use pastel pencils for blending. They're great for sort of blending your normal pastels together, without dulling it. So what I'll do is I'll take you through this one. Now, what you'll see me doing is I'm supporting the pastel pencil at the back, and first of all, what I'm doing is I'm taking off the wood of the pastel. Now I'm going round each of the pastel, and you see my knife there, and it's kind of going in and then lifting out again. It's sort of almost in a shallow U version, because what I don't want to do is I'm pushing a little bit harder at this stage, and I don't want to be taking that into the lead because I'll snap it too easily. So I'm sort of taking the knife in and then back out again. And then what I'm doing now is I'm supporting the lead of that pastel, or the pastel bit itself, behind it, as you can see, with my finger. And what I'm doing is I'm taking off, you'll find that there's sort of like some knobbly bits, and what you're wanting to do is create a nice long conical shape. So I'm taking off the sort of excess bits at the side, supporting that pastel underneath, and trying to get it to sort of like a reasonable shape around, so I haven't got any sort of like too many jaggedy bits sticking out. And then what I'm doing, as you're seeing there, I'm now coming back over that pastel, and I'm just sort of going backwards and forwards in a motion, really. Yes, up and down, up and down, up and down. And as I'm going, I'm twisting the pastel around, the pastel pencil around, so that I'm getting a nice even shape all around, because you want to be able to see the tip of your pastel when you're actually working with it. Or you want to try and get the wood as flat as possible, and also that shape as you're going up as smooth as possible, so it's not, so you're sort of, your end of it isn't at a different place than you think it's going to turn out. But that's it. We'll go again with this one here. Now, this is a new pastel I've got there, straight out the box. And as you see, what I'm doing is I'm going in with the blade, in and back up, getting rid of that wooden sort of casing of the pastel there. Now, depending on which pastel you have, some are easier to sharpen than others. Faber-Castells are nice and easy because their leads are quite strong. But Derwents, they can be a little bit trickier because they've got softer leads, or shafts of the actual pastel itself. I'm calling them leads, but they're not. It's not lead, it's pastel. But you get my drift. So as you see, I've taken that wood off around the edge, just going there, and I want to try and keep that again, get it kind of nice and smooth, going down from the outer casing down, sort of like nice and smooth, gently into that pastel stick itself. And if I can keep that nice and flat. Now, as you can see again now, what I'm taking off is those outer edges, those little bits that are a little bit stiffer. And you want to be doing that before you kind of start to refine your shape too much. So you take that off, and this is where you need to be a little bit careful that you don't sort of push it too hard, because sometimes you feel the blade kind of sticking on there, and be a bit careful when you do that, because you can then find that your pastel breaks quite easily. But if you can get that nice sort of fairly smooth, once you've got it fairly smooth going down to the tip of the pastel, then keep going backwards and forwards, twisting the pastel round so that you're getting it a nice even, as I say, a nice even conical shape all the way through. Now it's up to you how sharp you want them, and it's up to you, sort of how far you want to take it. In general, that's about enough, but you'll see me with this one here, which I'll let you watch and finish off. I want to take this to a nice, really fine point, because I want it for sort of like maybe I want it for an eye or something like that, where I just want a little dot. So I'm taking this one to a really nice point. So I use exactly the same process all the way through, and then just at the end I come in with a bit of I actually use the sanded paper that I work on. I usually got a scrap of that, and I take that and just finish off at the ends. So I'll let you watch this last one finish off. I hope you've learned something. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and you feel you have, then please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, happy painting.